How are we doing, guys? It's Mr. Today's LEQ is what is the function of the immune system? Today we're going to be looking at the immune system and all the cool, sweet things that it does, because it's very important for your body to have an immune system because it keeps you safe and not sick from outside pathogens or germs or anything like that. So first we're going to look at the immune system, the function of it. So the function of the immune system is it consists of cells and organs that work together to protect the body. So think of the immune system like this big bodyguard that you have around you. That it protects from the outside, with the skin, and then even if pathogens or germs are able to get inside, your body has another protection for that as well, and that's about the non-specific versus the specific. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the non-specific. So the non-specific immunity is the first line of defense that involves barriers that keep harmful materials from entering the body. So like I said, the first big one is your skin. Your skin is a huge barrier that does not allow pathogens, germs, anything like that to enter into your body. Other ones include the stomach acid, so like throwing up, coughing, sneezing. Those are also non-specific immunity. Along with tears. You might think tears are part of the immune system. They are, because they contain enzyme that is able to get rid of harmful bacteria or pathogens. Even mucus with inside the nose catches those germs or those pathogens, so it doesn't enter your body. Now, sometimes pathogens and germs do enter the body, and that comes up to the specific defenses. So the specific immune response consists of systematic cells that creates memories after initial response to a specific pathogen to attack it again. So the key word is specific. So they have a specific germ, a specific bacteria or virus that it knows how to attack and how to get rid of it. So when you do get rid of it, it happens quicker than it does before. So that's why when kids first go to school in pre-K or kindergarten, they're usually pretty sick very often because their immune system's not used to all those germs or that bacteria. But then as kids get older, they become more resistant to those germs and bacteria, so they don't get as sick when they're exposed to those same germs or bacteria. Now, moving on to what causes your immune system response. You're looking at antigens. So they're toxins or foreign substances that induce an immune response. So as you see, these antigens on the bacteria and virus. So what they do is antibodies will bind to them and activate them. So antibodies will attach to these antigens and then inactivate that bacterium or virus. Now, when it's inactivated, that bacterium and virus is then killed. So real quick here on the immune system, there's a quick video to go over how that immune system works within the body.
It's a beautiful day when suddenly a wild rusty nail appears and you cut yourself. The first barrier of the immune system is breached, your skin. Nearby bacteria seize on the opportunity and enter your wound. They start using up the body's resources and double their numbers about every 20 minutes. At first, they fly under the radar, but when a certain bacterial population is reached, they change their behavior and start to damage the body by changing the environment around them. The immune system has to stop them as fast as possible. First of all, your guard cells, known as macrophages, intervene. They are huge cells that guard every border region of the body. Most of the time, they alone can suffocate an attack because they can devour up to 100 intruders each. They swallow the intruder whole and trap it inside a membrane. Then the enemy gets broken down by enzymes and is killed. On top of that, they cause inflammation by ordering the blood vessels to release water into the battlefield, so fighting becomes easier. You notice this as a very mild swelling. When the macrophages fight for too long, they call in heavy backup by releasing messenger proteins that communicate location and urgency. Neutrophils leave their patrol routes in the blood and move to the battlefield. The neutrophils fight so furiously that they kill healthy cells in the process. On top of that, they generate barriers that trap and kill the bacteria. They are indeed so deadly that they evolved to commit suicide after 5 days to prevent them from causing too much damage. If this is not enough to stop the invasion, the brain of the immune system kicks in. Cells are waiting to be activated. When T cells are born, they go through a difficult and complicated training process, and only a quarter survives. The surviving cells are equipped with a specific setup, and the dendritic cell is on its way looking for a helper T cell with a setup that's just right. It's looking for a helper T cell that can bind to the parts of the intruders which the dendritic cell has presented on its membrane. When it finally finds one, a chain reaction takes place. The helper T cell is activated. It quickly duplicates thousands of times. Some become memory T cells that stay in the lymph node and will make you practically immune against this enemy. Some travel to the field of battle to help out. And the third group goes on to travel to the center of the lymph node to activate a very powerful weapons factory. Cell with the same set of meat, hell breaks loose. The B cell duplicates rapidly and starts producing millions of little weapons. They work so hard that they would literally die from exhaustion very fast. Here, helper T cells play another important role. They stimulate the hard-working factories and tell them, "Don't die yet, we still need you. Keep going." This also ensures that the factories die if the infection is over, so the body doesn't waste energy or hurt itself. But what is produced by the B cells? You've heard of them, of course. Antibodies. Little proteins that are engineered to bind to the surface of the specific intruder. There are even different kinds of antibodies that have slightly different jobs. The helper T cells tell the plasma cells which type is needed the most in this particular invasion. Millions of them flood the blood and saturate the body. Meanwhile, at the site of infection, the situation is getting dire. The intruders have multiplied in number and start hurting the body. Guard and attack cells fight hard, but also die in the process. Helper T cells support them by ordering them to be more aggressive and to stay alive longer. But without help, they can't overwhelm the bacteria. But now the second line of defense arrives. Billions of antibodies flood the battlefield and disable lots of the intruders, rendering them helpless or killing them in the process. They also stun the bacteria and make them an easy target. Their back is built to connect to killer cells, so they can connect and kill the enemy more easily. Macrophages are especially good at gnoming up the bacteria which antibodies have attached to. Now, the balance shifts. In a team effort, the infection is wiped out.
So it's a video that shows how intricate that immune system is, because it does so many things that help protect our body, like having cells that remember a specific pathogen or germ, and it's able to attack it right away, so you don't get sick, or you get less sick than you did before. So it's kind of like a huge memory cell of just all these germs and pathogens that your body remembers to help you stay healthy throughout your lifetime. Now, looking at back to specific and non-specific, the big differences between them. So remember, non-specific defenses respond to general threats of infection. It's like the outer layer, the skin, the mucous membranes, the stomach acid, tears. Whereas specific defenses respond to a particular pathogen. So the non-specific is more general, whereas the specific has specific pathogens that they respond to get rid of. Now, moving on to antibiotics and vaccines, you gotta know the difference between the two. Antibiotics are drugs used to treat bacterial infections. So if you ever had an infection, I'm sure then you've probably taken some type of antibiotic. But what it does is this: it attacks the bacteria cells, organelles that animal cells are human cells that we do not have. So for example, bacteria cells have a cell wall. Animal cells, that our cells, do not have a cell wall. So antibiotic like penicillin will attack that cell wall, and then so it won't let it develop into a cell wall. So that's important because that cell wall is what able to stop things coming in or leaving things from entering. So that's how antibiotics works. They attack parts of the bacteria cell that human cells don't have, so it's easier to inactivate them and then get rid of them. Now, vaccines. I'm sure you've had vaccines before. You had to get into school. But they stimulate the production of antibodies to prevent diseases. So what vaccines are is they're a dead antigen within that vaccine. So it has an antigen that the body can attack, so it gets used to it. So what it does is they'll give you exposure to disease without the symptoms. So memory cells will see the antigen, they'll kill that antigen, and then when your body sees it again, it already knows to respond to it. So you're vaccinated from those specific diseases. Now, moving on to the left-hand side here. First, we're talking about white blood cells. So white blood cells move to infect the tissues and destroy the bacteria by engulfing it. So that's how white blood cells fight against pathogens, is they see the tissue, they infect the tissue, and then go to that bacteria and just basically eat it. Engulfing it, just eating it. Moving to the inflammatory response. I'm sure you have had an inflammatory response in your lifetime, because inflammatory response is when, like a wound or like something on your skin, and then your pathogens are then able to enter your body. But what the immune inflammatory response will do, it occurs when tissues are damaged. The cells release chemicals to help kill off the pathogens. And you'll see your inflammatory response happening when you notice that swelling at where that wound is, or the redness or the heat. You notice when you have a wound, it's a lot hotter than the rest of your body. That's those chemicals working to kill off those pathogens. That's a natural inflammatory response. Another one is fever. So we all have fevers, and we know they're not fun, but a fever is actually a good thing because increasing the body temperature can slow down or stop the growth of pathogens. So a fever is just your immune system trying to slow down or stop that growth of that pathogen. So fevers are not fun to have, but it's actually your body telling you that it's working to get rid of that pathogen quickly or as quick as it can. Now move on to specific. So these were all non-specific. Those are just general ways to protect against general threats. But specific, the first one, the immune response. So remember specific pathogens, and it benefits for a more rapid and effective response if the pathogen is present again. Remember, it creates a memory of that antigen, and then so when it comes in contact with that antigen again, your body knows how to respond. So it's quicker, it's more effective, and possibly you don't even get sick at all because of that immune response and that specific memory cells that works to get rid of those germs or pathogens. Antibodies. We talked about antibodies when we talked about antigens. They counteract a specific antigen. So notice these antibodies are the blue and yellow, and they have these binding sites right here. They'll bind to that antigen. Remember, it inactivates that antigen, so it's able to kill it off. And then finally, B cells and T cells. It says it just the way it is. T cells attack infected cells. B cells attack invaders outside the cell. So T cells attack infected cells, whereas B cells attack pathogens outside of the cell. So if it's not in the cell, it's B. If it's infected in the cell, it is a T cell. So this is Mr. Striz. This is our video. Signing out.